안녕하세요, 여러분. So last week we talked about politeness levels in Korean, which involved me talking a little bit about how sentences are formed in Korean, but I didn't really go too much in depth into that. In fact, I didn't go in depth at all. I barely mentioned it, but a few of you have asked me in the comment section to talk more about how to form sentences in Korean, so that is what I want to focus on today. Alright, so let's get started. When we talk about sentence structure in English, for example, we notice that there are three main components that we need to have a sentence. And to be honest, sometimes we only need two. Those are subject of the sentence, the verb, and an object. So the subject of the sentence is something that is doing the action of the verb. And then the object is whatever that action has to do with, so that action falls onto and deals with. For example, I ate an apple. The subject would be I. Eating would be the verb, because I, as a subject, am doing the action of the verb. The object would be an apple, because that is what the action is doing. So it's kind of like the subject is doing the action and the action is doing the object. Chain kind of thing. And sometimes we actually don't even need an object. We can have a sentence that just has a subject and a verb. Like, I ate, or I slept, or he died. You know, there are those sentences too out there. So usually in English, the sentence structure would go like subject, verb, and then object, or subject, verb, and then a location, or just subject and a verb. But in Korean, you can't really meddle. But in Korean, you can't really meddle too much with the sequence. The only rule in Korean that is completely and totally set in stone is that you have to have a verb or an adjective at the end of the sentence. You can't have them anywhere else in the sentence. You can't have anything else at the end of the sentence. That is it. That is the golden rule. If we would want to take an example of the same sentence as in English, I ate an apple, we could make a sentence, but we would need to involve particles. So right now, just for the sake of exercising, I am going to take out the particles and just literally give you word by word the sentence, just to see the sentence structure, and then when we talk about the particles, we will go back to the sentence and fully complete it, alright? Cool. So, I in Korean would be na, is a subject. Then you put an object, which is 사과, which is an apple. And then you finish with the verb, which is 먹었어요, which is eat in the past, so ate. 나 사과 먹었어요. Yes, I know you need particles in the sentence to make it make sense, but yeah, you got the gist of it. That's how all Korean sentences are made. Yes, they can get more complex and you can add more stuff in between the subject and the verb, or you can put the object in front, or you can put a time or location anywhere in between, but as long as you have your verb or an adjective at the end, your sentence is gonna make sense. It's gonna be fine. Another thing, the reason why I say a verb or an adjective is because in Korean, adjectives actually have verb-like qualities. And for you guys to fully understand that, let's look at Korean verbs in their infinitive form, like to go or to see, without any conjugation. You will say 가다, 보다, 앉다, 읽다, 공부하다. Right? These are all Korean verbs. But when you look at Korean adjectives, see if you can find any similarities. For example, Korean adjectives would be like 똑똑하다, 슬퍼하다, 귀엽다. How do they sound? Do they sound similar to verbs in their infinitive form? They do. And not only in their infinitive form, but also in their conjugation, they're very, very similar and sometimes identical, depending on the type of verb or adjective they are, to verbs. So if I take a verb 공부하다, which means to study, and I take 행복하다, is to be happy, if I conjugate them simply, I will get 공부해요 and 행복해요. The same exact pattern of conjugation. How fascinating is that? Okay, I might be the only one who finds this fascinating, but just, but bear with me, guys. I get really excited and nerdy when I talk about Korean, so yeah. So, seeing how Korean adjectives actually have very verb-like qualities, it just makes even more sense for us to put the adjectives at the end of the sentence, just like the verbs, Now that we mentioned sentence structure and verbs and adjectives, we can safely go into particles. And those guys can get a little bit tricky. I will tell you a little bit more about the basic ones. I won't go too much in depth into it because I want to save that for next week, because there are a few very quite complicated nuances that require a lot of attention. So yeah, I'll just make an entirely separate episode for you guys, so don't worry about it. Particles in Korean mostly serve to indicate the subject, the object of the sentence, or the location and time. So the subject marking particle and the object marking particle are quite similar, and they serve similar purpose to just mark the subject or the object, because in Korean you really can get confused between what the subject or the object is, because those two can be interchangeable. In Korean, you can make a sentence of having an object, a subject, and then a verb, or a subject, an object, and a verb, and you will only know whether one or the other is a subject or an object depending on the marking particles. I mean, obviously, also depending on the context of the sentence. The subject marking particles are 는 and 은, depending on whether the word ends on a vowel or a consonant. So if it ends on a consonant, like 집 or 책, you use the 은 particle. Oh, I need to sneeze. I'm good, thanks. And that will turn into 집은 or 책은 or 방은 if you're talking about a room. And if your word ends on a vowel, you will use 는, like 사과는, 의사는, 여자는, 남자는. Yeah? Cool? Okay. Same thing goes with the object marking particles, which are 를 and 을. So same thing. If you're talking about a room, 방을, or 책을, 사과를, 의사를, 여자를, 남자를. Yeah? See the difference? These subject-object marking particles are quite straightforward. There's one really good sentence that can really illustrate the complete change of the meaning of the sentence if you mistake the particles. And that sentence is I like you in Korean. So if I want to say I like you, then I will say 나는, I with the subject marking particle, 너를, 너, you를 object marking particle, 좋아해요. 나는 너를 좋아해요. That means I, you like. But if you only switch the 나 and the 너, and you say 너는 나를 좋아해요, it would mean you like me. So for example, if you're a boy in middle school and you really like this girl and you really want to come up to her and tell her, I like you, and you do that, and then you say, 너는 나를 좋아해요, then you just told her that she likes you. And you said it in a way that it's like, you like me kind of thing. The consequence of that is probably going to be that girl never ever talking to you again in your entire life, and yeah, that can be a bit of a problem, especially for a middle school boy. So do you guys see the huge role particles play in the meaning of your sentences? I really hope you do. There are also time and location marking particle, which is 에, and it is quite simple. If you want to say that you are going to a park, you can just say 나는 공원에 가요. Or if you went to a party yesterday, 나는 파티에 갔어요. Quite straightforward. Same thing comes with time. There are also words that make the location a little bit more specific, which are words like under, over, to the right, to the left, inside, outside, these kind of words. And in Korean sentences, we usually say, for example, 학교, school, 안에, which means inside, 있어요. For example, 학생들이 학교 안에 있어요. 학생들이 학교 안에 있어요. So there are students inside the school. And here, notice what particle I used. Yes, I did use a location particle for inside the school, but also what particle did I use with the students? Did any of you guys notice? There you go. I used 학생이. So the particle 이 is actually another subject marking particle, which can be 이 or 가, depending on what your subject ends on. This subject marking particle I don't want to talk about today. I want to have an entire episode to discuss the difference between 는, 은 subject marking particle and 이가 subject marking particle, because The difference is so tiny, but it's so crucial. So yes, I will definitely come back to this exact same sentence. 학생이 학교 안에 있어요? In our next week's video, and we'll see which of the subject marking particles actually fit best into that sentence, and can you actually use both of them in the same sentence depending on what situation you're in. Alright, so I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Leave them in the comment section below. Also, all of you teachers, tutors, and native Korean speakers, like I always ask you to, please leave your insight in the comment section as well. This will help all of our viewers and me to get better and to understand these concepts a little more. So I will be forever grateful to all of you if you do. And yeah, I will see you guys all next week on Monday with my new cover. Yay! Bye! 안녕!